boys of the county. They're known as the Magpies by all. Let's go down the lane and we'll give them a cheer while they play the game of football. The Magpies, we'll give them a cheer once again, again. The Magpies, we'll give them a cheer once again. Yes, they are the boys of the county. They play down at Old Meadow Lane. We'll give them a cheer from the stand.
Jim had started to sell a couple of fanzines in the shop, and we'd been to a match at Carlisle. And it was on the way back, somebody said, why don't we do one?
It was a great idea, and I was pissed off with the image that the national media had been giving the fans ever since the Heysel disaster. And we were also unhappy with the things going on at Meadow Lane, and the Supporters Club weren't doing anything about it. So it was a great opportunity for us to get things moving.
Well, I thought it was a great idea, but I realised it would need a lot of time and commitment from everybody.
I thought it was beer talk, to be perfectly honest. It was discussed in the pub and I didn't think it'd get any further. But when Colin said he could get it done cheap at work, we went ahead with it.
The first few issues of the Pie were pretty awful, I suppose, really. They were a bit of a hodgepodge. We all just sat round a table throwing ideas in. I had the typewriter, so I ended up typewriting it very slowly. But there was a good feel to it.
I got involved with the Pie round about issue 2 or 3. Jim Cooke pushed one under my nose one day and said, we're doing this, do you want to do anything? So I did. And as things gradually built up, I felt in my own modest way that there was a need for some sort of organisation to be put into this, otherwise the whole thing was going to collapse. Perhaps the others didn't think they needed any organisation, but that's what they got.
Well, we got invited along to a meeting, and then I offered to do a bit of typing for them, and it ended up we got 36 pages to do within a week, and that's how it started, really.
Hang on to your ticket, Phil, because if you don't win your free prize, you'll get a free pint in the mortar. You know nothing. It's in Tilsley.
Well, I started watching football, I suppose, when I was about 5 with my dad in Manchester, who was really keen on football. And when I came to Nottingham in the mid-70s, I really liked Notts County because I found it much more homely type of club to watch football. Very much like a northern club, I thought, which had been used to living in Lancashire. Well, when they win, it really makes my day, and it's great, you know. When they lose, I feel a bit down, but not as much as I used to. I mean, I used to cry my eyes out as a kid if my team lost. But now, you know, it is only a game, as they say, so I don't get too upset. Well, I stand in the middle of the County Road stand, you know, and the terraces standing up, and I really like it there because you sort of see the same people there virtually every week, and there's some right characters. It's one group they call themselves the staff room, you know, a bunch of teachers, and they're pretty funny. But there's just all sorts, all different types, and it's just a very good atmosphere down there. I really look forward to it, enjoy it. Once we went to Doncaster, and it was a right laugh because Notts County was struggling to win, and anyway, I got a £5 note out of my back pocket and was walking up and down near the linesman and offering this £5 to him, and lo and behold, 2 minutes later Notts had an attack and a very dubious offside decision wasn't given, and Notts went and scored. So we were well chuffed about that, you know.
We played keyboards for the animals. That's it, apt for our lot, isn't it?
No, I didn't know that.
No, he's
finished with Newport. I'm sure it was Wrexham. They said Wrexham were going to be a bigger club than Notts. Everyone,
Who is nicknamed the Ox? Let's put Dennis Roussos down for a laugh.
No, he'd be large Ox.
I started off when I was about 3 years old. My father took me down baseball ground, Derby, for the first game I went to. And I watched Derby regularly, every home game, until I was about 18. And then I met my boyfriend, Tony, and he was a Notts fan. And I said, he said to me, you want to come down and match one day? It was really a different experience to watching Derby. Derby were a bigger club, there's more atmosphere at the ground, but it's not such a friendly club. Down at Notts you tend to know everybody. You know all the regulars, you know a lot of the players. And after a while I was really, really hooked, and I love Notts now more than I've ever loved Derby. Although my parents wouldn't like me saying that. They didn't like it very much the first time I went down. They didn't take it too badly. They sort of said, you know, if you go down there I'll not talk to you again, but they did straight away, so it wasn't too bad. Well, where we stand, they're very raucous is probably the best word for them. We've got a bunch of people called the Hucknall Magpies who stand very near to us and they sing along like crazy, they're really loud. And then we've got the boring people who stand down the front and never sing at all. We've got all the children with them, and there's a few old men down there. We've been watching Notts for about 95 years, you know. Never seen them play a good game. And real moaners. But up at the back we've got all the singers, that's where I stand. And that's really where the Pie's base is, I think, in people like that. The singers, the people that really enjoy the game and get involved, get behind the team. They always seem to have more life about them, you know, they care more about the team than the older people. I know they won't like me saying that, because they'll say they do. But there's more of a passion involved with the youth. The older people, they've seen it all, they've been there already. And the players are never as good today as they were when they were kids. But for us, it's all still new. We're not living under the shadow of the greats of the old days. We've got the youth out there today, and that's the team we're shouting for. When they win, there's never feeling like it in the world. Especially if it's a really important game, you just want to go and get drunk and celebrate, you know, jumping in the fountains or something if it's really important. But when they lose, you just want to go out and get drunk as well, really, but for different reasons. All you want to do is cry sometimes. It's so disappointing. Especially when you think about the Leyland Daff this year when we played Bristol Rovers. We got that disallowed goal in the last minute. That was a real killer. I was crying in the medical club after that one. And I still feel cut up now when I think about it.
When they lose, well, it can be a bit disheartening at times, but it's only a game, I suppose, and there's always a pub afterwards to help you forget about these things. And of course, it is preferable to win, and then you can go for a few more beers. Traditional part of going to football is having a few drinks beforehand, and watching Notts, it's often a bit of a necessity to have a few drinks beforehand at times. It certainly helps you get into the right frame of mind before a match. It's not the same watching a football team when you're sober. On away trips, where we tend to drink a bit more because it's a longer day out, football does tend to get in the way of an interesting drinking session, but not always. Often it would be late to go to a match because you tend to get stuck in pubs, whether it's pubs a long way off or next to the ground. Because obviously if you think it's next to the ground, I've just got 5 to 3, just got time for another quick pint or two, and really the same thing if you get stuck away miles away. You think, well, half an hour to the ground, got time for a couple more pints, and invariably you end up missing kick-off. Last year at Reading we missed the first 2 Notts goals, sometimes miss half the match. This season at Shrewsbury I missed 80 minutes of the match because I got stuck in a pub. I do occasionally get there early if the timing's wrong.
That's the coach park. I think it's the coach park next to the away. It's in the ground. It's actually in the ground. Yeah. Just behind the goal. I need some. Paul can drive because I've got my leg on a bit between the floor.
It's Brentford, you see, that was a good laugh, you know what I mean? But
I started watching football when I was a kid in the 60s. I used to go to Forest actually, but I didn't like it. It was too big and I just didn't like the setup. I started to watch Notts in the late 60s and that was much better. It was older and everybody knew everybody and it was a good scene. So I watched Notts because they never let you down for too long. They've got the potential to be a really good side. They've got some great players. And we're going to do it. I think with the current squad there's a good relationship between fans and players. You get the feeling that if you shout for them they're going to play better, which hasn't always been the case in the past. The fact that you can't do anything about it, no matter what you shout and scream, can be pretty frustrating at times. People on the Pie are all completely different really. I think sometimes the only thing they've got in common is the fact that we all watch Notts and they're right for the Pie. I do all the work, nobody else does anything. Notts supporters are a pretty weird bunch really. There's one guy called Fritz who used to have a megaphone which he'd give instructions to the players through, right throughout the match. And he also used to eat his dinner on the bus out of the megaphone as well, which I think was peaches and rice pudding. The stories about Fritz are too numerous to mention. It's alleged that he used to jump out of graveyards in the early hours of the morning and make elderly ladies swerve off their cars off the road. Oh yes, he used to scare people by dressing up as a skeleton and jumping out of train toilets. I'm not telling any of the ruder stories about that.
Good ball. That'll do me.
I don't know why I started watching football, but as a kid, obviously we used to play football all the time, straight from school. First match I went to was a Forest game. I went down with a neighbour, didn't particularly enjoy that. I knew that my grandma took my cousin to Notts County matches and they had a good time together. So when Gran said, come down, I went along with her. Wasn't a particularly exciting match, it was 0-0 in fact. But it was just good, all the people, she got a good set of friends down there and they took to me, so it just seemed a natural thing to do after that. The best occasions we had together were on the away trips. They used to run their own coaches for the Hyacinth Green branch and they were good, like Chris is doing now. We'd stop for a drink on the way to the ground and we'd stop on the way back. The older lads would always bring a football so we could have a game in the pub car park. And my grandma's friends were elderly like she was, and their kids had grown up, so they used to really look after me and spoil me daft. At Easter I'd always get eggs, say 6 or 7 eggs off these ladies, and at Christmas they used to send me saving stamps, 5 bobs worth of saving stamps each, which I used to cash in straight away so I could go and buy some singles. And they just spoiled me daft, you know, there was rugs on your knee to keep you warm and little Jimmy this and little Jimmy that. It was just, well, it's just too good to be true, really. I'll keep going, mainly through force of habit, but when the great 4th Division side came along, 70-71, and before that, Don Masson came to Notts County to play, and to me it was just unbelievable. And I think that somebody could actually play like that, just how you'd like to be able to play the game yourself. So that was a big influence on me, and even when he left Notts County, I obviously still followed Notts because they were my club, but it wasn't like going to the same ground. But of course the years go by and you get used to that. When he came back after the World Cup in '78, I just couldn't believe it that he'd returned, and so of course things were brilliant again, and then he eventually led us into the 1st Division. Those days are gone now, but I'll always go just because I love the people that I go with. I think they're fantastic, and it's just something special down there. It's hard to put into words. Most of the things we talk about, even if we go out for a drink when Notts aren't playing, we always talk about Notts County. That's all we ever go on about. It cracks other people up who don't really know us, but it's just one of those things, people learn to live with it. I got a bit emotional when we went to Maidstone in the Daft Trophy, because we won down there, and that I then realised that we'd got a real chance of getting to Wembley, and of course I've never seen Notts down there. So I was a bit emotional. But after Bristol Rovers 2 weeks ago, and the important league game, that really got to me as well. It just affects me in that way. I feel so proud to see those players wearing the black and white shirt, and then when I look around me and see everybody else supporting them, it just touches me.
Well, sport is all about winners and losers, never more so than on a Saturday evening like this. Tears of joy and disappointment shed evenly around the country, but nowhere is the elation greater than at Anfield. 1st Division champion for a record 18th time. Liverpool 2, Queen's Park. 67, fighting over Northampton 43, Blackpool 45, and Cardiff 37, all in deep trouble. Fulham not safe on 51.
I got my dad to take me to a Forest Reserve game, and it was a horrible night and I didn't enjoy it. So the next week I went to Notts County because they were at home, and afterwards we went round to the back of the stand to get the autographs for the players, and a guy who played for Notts there was a bloke called Bert Loxley, who was really friendly, and he signed my book and tapped me on the head. Just kept going to Notts ever since, because it's better than going to Forest. Some people are very cold and analytical when they go and watch a football match, but other people do get quite involved in it, and some people go well over the top as well. I like to think you keep a balance, but the worst feeling is when you lose and it's important that you should have won, and that's not very nice. The positive side is that if you follow a team for long enough, you do feel part of it. A minor part, albeit, but you do feel a part of it. So they get excited, and there's the whole crowd thing and group responses and stuff like that. And it just feels good to be watching a team that you consider to be yours being successful in a decent and positive manner. And hopefully, if that happens on the field, decent and positive things also happen off it. Losing's not a very nice feeling in any walk of life, and especially when it's your own team that are getting beaten by, of course, inferior human beings. Well, at the end of a football match, you always know there's going to be a result, and there's going to be issues that you can talk about and extend the value for the money that you've got. And like a lot of things like arty films, there's always a definite ending, and you understand the ending as well. The relationships between the people who are involved with the Pie are quite convoluted. There's certainly different ends of the political spectrum, which inevitably ends up in some compromise. And the good thing about it is that the main people come from different walks of life and have got different things to contribute. And the art of it is actually gelling it in to an end result, which is supposed to be a magazine that other people can read and understand. The compromise sometimes takes longer to arrive at than actually writing and producing the magazine, but we eventually get there in the end.
Early on.
Lund would have had a shot on target if he'd got
We had a
far
half
enough
chance
upfield.
when just after we scored, about 30 seconds, when Bartlett took the ball off the bloke.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the keeper came right to the edge of the area and straight
You know
at
who
him.
I blame for all this? Jim Cooke. All those damn Kit Kat bars he sent to London, it slowed him down.
When it was first announced that Barn was going to be manager, I was a bit disappointed, to be honest. I wasn't better. Because they're always hype about experienced manager.
Hey, does that mean he wanted you to play?
Keep going. 4 games, right?
It means it's a secret message. It means Craig Shucks about the season.
No, it means he's playing for Craig Short on Thursday night. That's what it means.
About 7 or 8, and I used to support Forest, but something just made me change when Notts County got relegated, in fact, and I just started watching seeing them. I don't know why I watched them, it's just something about them. I've got a lot of friends who come and watch County, and kind of know everybody down here because there isn't all that many of us. Well, it all revolves around Monday morning at school, really. I mean, if you lose, you know you're in for a lot of stick, so you either go down with the flu, or if you win, it's kind of, you go out, you go to school with the old kit on, the scarves and the hats, you know. But if you lose, you do take a lot of stick from at school, because the majority of Nottingham is Forest, but they're not really loyal, they don't go and watch the team, they're just there for when they win. But when Notts win, there's a kind of big party going on at school, and that's what it's all about.
Stan's just a donkey.
That's our team to win the World Cup. Could do well, we might get to qualifying stages.
The Pie's over 3 years old now. When we started, there were only a handful of others, but there's about 150 or 200 now. Maybe it's less exciting than when we started, but it's less cliquey. But it has become more of a serious business. A lot of fans write for the Pie now. We've got a much wider audience than we originally had, which means you've got to be more careful, particularly that you don't slag people off who don't deserve it, which may have happened in the past.
I think the best thing that the Pie has done, I mean, I've known faces at Meadow Lane, people I've seen over the years, and I've never spoken to them. But since we started the Pie, we've built up such a spirit of friendship between people. And that's the thing that I've enjoyed most out of it, is getting to know people, getting people involved. And the things that we've all done together now, the coach trips, the football forum, the survey we did, we've all been down to see Kenneth Clark, the Tory MP. Crikey, we've started playing football matches against opposing supporters. Just a great feeling to be part of it.
Well, the future of the Pie, I think, is good, because a lot of fans really look out for it now, and they want to buy one as soon as one comes out, you know. And the commitment's there from people. People enjoy doing it. That's the main thing. So as long as people enjoy doing it, I think it'll continue and grow.
I'd like it to reflect the views of the general supporters more than it does, rather than the views of the people who put the Pie together. But apart from that, it can carry on pretty much as it has been doing.
Well, I'd definitely like to see some more women on the editorial team. I think it would help quite a lot. At the moment, the male bias is quite strong there. And we seem to get, from the women, the only articles we do get are sexist ones, i.e. against the men. We had a girl wrote for us, and she'd know who she is if she's watching the documentary, but she wrote an article about the new players last year, and I got the blame for it. And then so I decided to come back and write a really sexist article, which I got the blame for as well, but at least this time I know I wrote it. And other than that, really, I think it's just to carry on as we are doing at the moment, to provide a service to the fans of Notts County.
The future of the pie will a lot depend on what other people want it to be. It can become a long-standing organ for change, or it may very well become a historical document, a record. Whatever happens to it, there seems to be quite a following, and a lot of people look out for it. The only problem is how it's going to be run, and whether this ridiculous notion of democracy is going to continue, when the easiest way of doing it is for just everybody to do as I tell them to do.
When the whistle blows for kick-off and the football match is on, then you know you're really glad you came. Cheering for the home team and the cares of life are gone. You're wrapped up in...
There'll always be a need for the pie, I see, because I feel that the supporters club and the club are very much part of the same thing, whereas we're on the outside looking in, and we can probably see things that they don't see, probably don't realise that it matters to people. So yeah, there'll always be a need for the pie.
Prime ministers to princes, from a lawyer to a tramp, millionaire or pauper, it's the same. When the thrill of football gets you, then your spirit's never down. Wrapped up in the glory of the game. Wrapped up in the